G'day there, thank you for choosing the race side. Today we are jumping into a Q&A about Star Wars, Australia, and other various things that might pertain to me and the channel. Starting off strong from my friends at Mortis FM YouTube channel. Shout out, favorite saber hilt or top 3. This is a fair one. It's gotta be the one I have right back here. This is my Leia saber from Saber Theory. This is, wow, that was actually a really well-timed question. This is my first actual real saber. They were kind enough to say, hey, we want to send you something. And this was my first pick. So this is my very favorite hilt design as well. I just think it encapsulates, like, I love how it's a little bit Obi-Wan up here. But then, you know, the handle, the grip is actually a lot more specific to Leia's choices as well. And the bottom, again, very Obi-Wan-esque. And especially after the Kenobi show, I kind of like that detail. Probably a close second and third after that, though, has to be Qui-Gon's hilt. I love his, and also Maul's hilt. I love the design of his hilt. I mean, of course, the Anakin is a very classic, but I think, like, absolute favorite, it has to go Leia, Qui-Gon, and Maul. Next question is coming in from one of the channel masters. Master Saj says, who's a Star Wars character you feel is underused or appreciated by fans or in Star Wars? This is a fantastic question that, you know what, I start to answer and think of some names, but I feel like we have touched on some of the characters in various Star Wars media. A name that comes to mind is Aura Singh. I feel like her character is a really interesting one as a bounty hunter. I mean, any of the bounty hunters are pretty much a solid name. Even a Bosk, I think, is a name that is very underutilized. I think the whole bounty hunter world is something that could be definitely tapped into. I know they're kind of creeping in it with the comics and even Star Wars Outlaws, just almost getting to that point. But I feel like we should just go full throttle with the bounty hunter show. I think a lot of those names, Aura Singh, Bosk, you know, even the names of Dengar, like, bring those characters in. I think those are the most underutilized because I think they're very complex characters that have a lot of story to tell. We get a lot of the hero's journey from our main characters, so I feel like some of those more complex, neutral characters are more interesting. Underused. It's an interesting word to say a Star Wars character is underused, but I feel like one that is in the sort of atmosphere of Star Wars and is around, but probably not used enough for me, probably has to be Bo-Katan. And I know that might not make sense because I think a lot of people had the complaint with Mando Season 3 that she was in it too much, but I think they should lean into that. I think the whole lineage of Mandalore and the Katan name and her history and also future is one that is really interesting. And I feel like they can really bank on making whether it's like a whole show or something with her, but I think she's an underutilized character. Even though I know she was in Mando Season 3 a lot, I think they need to lean on fans really liking her character. This is a good one, an Australian related question. Is Australia as full of death and danger as we in the US think? Spiders, sharkies, and crocs. The Knight of Sandira says on Instagram, well, yes and no. Is it full of those things? Yes, it is. Is it everywhere? Yes, it is. I can walk out into my backyard right now and there's, you know, the holes of a funnel web spider in the grass that, you know, it's like the second deadliest spider in the world. Is it like a few feet from my door? Yeah. Am I fearing it every moment of the day? No, absolutely not. I just don't put my finger down it. You know what I mean? Same thing with, you know, the water. You just look out for shark warnings. And then I don't really get crocs where I am, but definitely North Queensland. You just don't swim in the waters that have crocodiles in them. So, like, is it full? Yes, but also you kind of just get aware of them and you just know how to avoid them. Spiders are things that are just around the house. They're just around. You just don't touch them. I don't know. Don't do that. Star Wars Nerd 00 coming in saying, what made you decide to start doing YouTube? Well, I've always been in the creative sphere of wanting to make things and be very, you know, expressive with my passions. I think specifically to the Rayside YouTube channel was Star Wars Anaheim 2022. A lot of you know this story, but it's just, that experience was so transformative. It really made me realize that doing Star Wars YouTube full-time really could be the best intersection of all my interests of public speaking, of tech, you know, connecting with people and speaking with people on a level that can connect all of us together. And that really speaks to me. And then creatively being able to express myself like this way, you know, doing the crazy things and making people laugh, making out of mindlessly insane live shows for you is so much part of my expression and love and joy of life. So it just seemed to be this cross section. And then obviously being a Star Wars fan for like 10, 15 years, just that being so natural for me. I have such a plethora of information. Just perfect. It just perfectly lined up. The Star Wars Celebration Anaheim was really the tipping point, if you will, to be like, okay, let's do this. I'm going to go this way. Next question coming in from Nerdy Brent. If there was a fire, what would be the one thing you would try to save from your setup? That is a great question. This has been a growing collection for a long time. Like if you've been with the channel a while, you will notice how much this has grown. You know what? You'd think it'd be the saber. I think it would be Plo Koon's ship. I think it would be this. I think it would be Plo Koon's Starfighter because this was it was my first Lego set. Two, what system am I using here? B, it is, as well as it being my first Lego set, it was the Lego set my parents bought me and I was about 11 years old. Clone Wars was happening, obviously. And obviously Plo Koon's Lego Starfighter came out with the show. And so they didn't know who this character was, but they were just like, it's Clone Wars, I guess she likes it. And so they went and got this for me for my birthday. And I was really embarrassed of liking Star Wars, but my parents were always like, absolutely, you know, he's Star Wars stuff all the time. So I think this has a lot of sentimental value for me. And it's a cool design. It's probably my favorite design of ship. If no one asked me that question, but there you go. That's my favorite design of ship is Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter. There you go. So there's definitely things in here that are worth a lot more money, but that I think has the most emotional worth for me to grab. If there was a fire. Also, yeah, how dare you, Brent? Just like wishing terrible things. Ice Quokka asks a really good question. How do you deal with the hate from some Star Wars fans? This is a really good question and to be fair, quite a broad question. There's sort of two tiers of it. There's the batshit crazies that just sort of they don't know your channel and they'll just kind of see one video and comment, you woke, you know, you woke crazy woman. That doesn't really hold any weight for me. That's just there. That's hilarious. Like, I don't really care, or if lack of a better term. But then, you know, you get those ones that kind of a bit more in your space and they're a bit more just kind of seeking to put you down. I think because I don't take myself too seriously, which sounds a bit funny, but I really don't. I take this seriously, but I don't take myself too seriously. And that's quite a big thing of my content. If you've been here for even one or two shows, I hope you can, you know, get that energy from me where I'm just here to enjoy Star Wars and hang out, speak with people about their experiences, talk about nerdy things, talk about our favorite characters, do silly, fun things. And so if someone wants to come in to that space that I've created, that I'm just going to have a good time and be stupid with this. If someone wants to come in going, rah, 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 everything's on fire, yeah, you know, everything's woke. It doesn't really affect me because I don't really have that energy back. I don't really seek to have that kind of intensity back at them. I just go, oh, wow, you're really stressed. Take it easy. Take a deep breath. Like, I don't know, go get a lollipop and sit in the sun. My mum used to tell me, actually, if you're upset about something, eat a banana and sit in the sun. It'll fix everything. And I do agree that it does work. So, where am I talking about? So haters. I just kind of think about that they need to do that because it's like if you're coming into my space getting all stressed, it's not really affecting me. It's only going to be affecting you because you're the one that's really torn up about something. I appreciate that. I respect that if you don't like a show or not. I respect that. That's totally fine. But if you want me to get riled up and on board with you, it's not going to be here. It's not. You're not going to find that sort of hype and intensity here. We're just here to have a good time. I do like a lot of the shows, a lot of Star Wars. I do also dislike a lot of the things that we see in the movies and shows, but that's media. That's Star Wars, that's movies, that's everything. So how do I deal with it? I think I just don't take myself too seriously. I think that's probably the best, if that makes sense. I'm not that, it's not like a personal offense. It's like, oh, you just got to go have a banana and sit in the sun. Just relax, okay? Ooh, Nick Knack Cosplay coming in with the question of favorite Luke Skywalker moment. This is a good question. Favorite Luke Skywalker moment. You know what? Okay, it's pretty much a tie between the moment in Return where Vader goes, there's a sister. Or, what did he say? Your sister. Or maybe he just says sister, actually. I think he just says a sister. And Luke just like loses the plot that Vader would know that like Leia exists and there's another. And he just the double-handed like strike down. that real explosion of emotion for him to really go, this is all in, it or nothing. I have to destroy this because I, want to protect the people I love, the people that are closest to me. I think that was just such an epic moment. And the swell of the music, John Williams' music as that moment happens, is always so peak. I saw that for the first time in a movie theater. I've seen it before, but in a movie theater this past May 4th, and it was unreal to see that on the big screen. That moment, I love that moment of Luke. So good. But also a special mention, I think, the whole hallway scene of Mando is very impressively done. I love that scene. I love that scene. Your thoughts on Mace Windu returning in a future show or movie? Coming in from Star Wars Fan 117. Thoughts on Mace Windu returning, please? No. If he does, do it in a super memey way. I would love to see him just in some really bizarre fashion. Put him, I don't know, just he's in the depths of Coruscant or something. But I don't really want it, honestly. I think he should stay dead. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of characters I would dig to see rise from the dead, and there's quite a few characters that do. The Sarge Ventress, to name one off the top of my head. There's a lot of characters that do that, and I really love their return, and I have no problem with it. But Mace Windu, I feel like he should stay dead for the most part. I feel like he should, right? My buddy Tony, Star Wars Sith, coming and saying, have you ever been chased by a kangaroo? No, I haven't. I've never, to be honest, I've never come into a violent contact with a kangaroo. I've come into a contact with a lot of kangaroos, but they've been quite friendly, shake a hand, give them a fist bump, they're happy days. But chased, no. I've never, unless you G one up, they're chilling. They're chilling. Unless you're in the deep outback and you're in their territory. Yeah, they'll be fun. They'll be so fun. Ooh, another one from Iced Quokka is your favorite evil Star Wars character. Evil. I think ultimate has to be Vader. I think he's the perfect villain. I think in terms of a perfect story, I think he's a perfect villain. But just thinking of all the villains through all the shows and everything, I super love Newt Gunray. I think, what a guy. When I think Newt Gunray, I just really... He's complex. He's got a story. He's kind of doing the right thing, but his right thing is to his own, success. So that's where his downfall is. I think I would love to do a study of Newt Gunray's rise and fall one day, because I think it would be fascinating. So I love him as a villain. He's good. Oh, you know what? If we're actually speaking of villains, a villain that isn't a villain, but in my mind, is a villain to me in Star Wars, Clovis from the Clone Wars, that guy that was sort of into Padme, or very into Padme really, and Anakin had to stop them, and he was a part of the Separatists. Clovis, that guy's a villain. Hate him so much. I mean, you guys ask a lot of questions about the Outback. You ask a lot. Maybe I gotta make some Outback content. I love it. Actually, that sounds a bit on the nose. But yeah, there you go. There's a pretty solid rundown of a lot of Star Wars questions. A lot of hilt and saber questions in there. I hope I answered them as best I can. But thank you so much for sending in those questions, and comment down below if you've got anything Star Wars related you want to know from me, and I'll try to answer it in the comments below. But I hope to see you around one of the live shows. We're always going live and having lots of fun here on the race side, so I hope to see you there, my friends. And until then, as you're out in the world, make sure you're always choosing the race side.